Time for Tiger Bites as we read out your comments that you've made on our platforms. People busy with their fingers, Jay. What have they been commenting on? Which platforms?
They have been commenting on our Facebook, on our YouTube shows, and also the Tiger Bites forum on tiger.com.
I think that's Tiger Talk.
Tiger Talk.
And this is Tiger Bites. Let's thank Gmail who wrote to us. And he says private businesses have every right to set their own rules as long as those rules are not violating any laws. And customers have every right to accept and follow those rules or go somewhere else. I don't know why there needs to be a debate about it. This, of course, is about the proposal last week by the CCSA to demand that people present vaccination papers before they can get into a restaurant. Mm-hmm. As it happens, they didn't introduce that law, which I think is probably a good thing. In fact, I speak to Ben Hart from Integrity Legal about that issue, and that interview coming up early next week on the Tiger. What do you think about this business about private businesses with demanding papers? You know, if you're running a spa, are you going to be able to say to people, or would you say to people, show me your vaccination papers before I'll put my hands on you?
Well, I think it's a sensitive topic only from the point that Gmail is right. It's a private business, and they can say that, okay, this is what we need, and if you don't have it, then I don't allow you in. Yeah, they have the right to do that. However, if you're providing a service for people, for the general public, wouldn't it also be important to listen to what they have to say? And if the majority of the people have a problem with something that you think, perhaps it's not the people with the problem, it might be you. And if you're providing a service for other people, you might as well at least attempt to listen to them. So I don't completely agree with Gmail there.
Interesting times ahead as we emerge from this coronavirus pandemic, and we are going to go into this phase of the vaccinated and the unvaccinated and who can do what, and it's going to be interesting. What do you pay for a good steak?
What do I pay for a good steak?
A good steak.
In Thailand, you could get a good steak for under 1,000 baht, around 1,000 baht. In a nice fancy restaurant, 1,000 baht. I mean, not premium fancy, but affordable fancy.
You can get a steak for even 200 or 300 baht.
Yes,
it'll be small.
Yes,
and you may not be exactly sure what particular animal it's come from.
Yeah, but like Australian Wagyu, 800 to 1,000 baht.
Well, yesterday we spoke about 3,000 baht that had been paid for a steak. Mm-hmm. Bill C has chimed in and said, 3,000 baht for a nice steak is not expensive at all. If you choose Japanese Wagyu beef, your bill starts at 50,000 baht per person.
I feel like our viewers have some really good expensive taste. I mean, I'm not in that bracket. I can only afford cheaper steaks.
Wow, if you are going to go to a restaurant and be presented with a bill for 50,000 baht for a meal, you're not really enjoying Thailand at its best.
Well, yeah, that's right. In Thailand, you know, we can enjoy food for a lot cheaper, but maybe those Japanese A5 Wagyu do get up very expensive.
50,000 baht. All right, what have you got?
Right, I've got a question here from Mel F, who has a question regarding airlines and airline staff. So his question is, when an overseas plane lands in Thailand, do the crews have to quarantine? Now, I actually have a friend who works for an airline who, not recently, but they flew to Phuket, and you have to think of them as a bubble. So all the staff are basically, you know, the staff from that plane stay in the same hotel, have already pre-booked rooms. So they're just living in a bubble. As soon as the flight is over, they go to their SHA Plus hotel, they spend the night or 2 nights, and then in that same group, they go back to the plane. So they're not really allowed to travel or leave the room.
Okay.
So they're basically in a bubble. So yes, they don't have to necessarily quarantine, but they're living a life of quarantine already.
All right, interesting one. Hawk says 90-day report can be done at immigration. We were talking yesterday about the problems people were still having doing their 90-day reports online. 90-day reports are something that you have to do if you have anything other than a tourist visa and you stay in the kingdom for longer than 90 days. You have to report to immigration and report your current location. Anyway, Hawk says 90-day report can be done at immigration up to 97 days without a fine. I always reported immigration and sometimes late. No problem. Then I do my big food shop. So he only goes food shopping every 90 days?
I guess he's a stalker.
Okay. Thanks, Hawk.
Is that a word? Stalker?
Stalker?
No, like a person who stocks food. Stalker.
We call them magpies in
okay.
Australia.
Hoggers.
But people who sort of hoard things.
Oh, okay. Hoarders, that's the word.
Hoarders. Yeah,
Hoarders.
But buying food every 3 months, I think I'd be wanting things a bit fresher than that.
Right. I've got a comment here from PT Tan who's talking about we were talking yesterday about how you could use apps to, instead of vaccination cards and more paperwork, you could possibly get an app to prove that you've been vaccinated. So, an app on the phone sounds great, Jay, he says. However, it is only as good as its reliability. I've heard enough of security breaches and apps that are clumsy and yet don't work. With news of the elderly lady who received more than 2 jabs, the accuracy of the data captured is another can of worms. So, PT10, I believe you are right. There might be some security issues. However, I think to move forward in a more technological world, I think it would be important to have one app where, you know, it's centralized and it's got good security and maybe, you know, not too much detail, but just simple details that the fact that you've been verified and you've been vaccinated might go a long way in moving things along a lot faster.
I'm just checking my More Prama app.
Mm-hmm.
And it lists that I am vaccinated.
Right.
It's automatically updated. So somehow the database has linked. Right, from Phil Urban, please check the lighting. There is a shadow below Tim's nose. Looks like the moustache on some infamous German dictator.
Oh my.
Is there a shadow there?
I don't know. I can't see any.
Is there? I don't think.
Phil, you should see his behavior when the cameras are off. Shocking.
The behaviour is like a German dictator sometimes. Thank you very much, Phil. Our lighting, I think, is sort of okay. But if anybody else notes a strange moustache-like object under my nose, please inform us.
Right, I have a comment here from Facebook, a story on the malls opening in Bangkok on strict measures. I have a message here from Sutramble DB. Sorry, I don't think I've got your name right. And he says, thousands are homeless and have no money for food. Potential tourists, if they're fully vaccinated, should also be allowed to arrive in the country without any kind of quarantine. Some chances they just have to take. Now, he is right. Now, all these malls are opening, which means that a lot of people will have jobs again. So I agree with you, Subramanian. Some chances just have to be taken.
Well, at the moment, if you want to come to Thailand as a traveller, you can only arrive in Phuket
Yes.
and Samui and possibly a few other locations coming up. You do a 14-day sort of pseudo-quarantine using the islands. We've got Hua Hin saying they're going to be doing it from the 1st of October. I think in the next couple of months, we're basically going to see this Sandbox type program opening up pretty much around the country if the numbers keep on sort of trending down and if there's no big sort of mass variant that just throws everything in a mess again. Watch this space. I think we're going to see a lot of the restrictions eased in the next couple of months. That's just a very vague prediction. Scott Thompson says, for the last 6 months, I've been dead set on retiring in Thailand, but this level of corruption, combined with totalitarian, draconian controls on their population, is causing me to rethink my retirement destination. Is Thailand still a good place to retire?
I think...
Not that you have to worry about that yet.
Yes, but Scott, I'd suggest, focus on why you want to be in Thailand. It's probably because of the relaxed atmosphere, the beautiful beaches, the chill lifestyle. Are you really here because you don't you want to support the government or have issues with the cops? If you're living a retired, chilled life, it's one of the best places to retire.
I still think Thailand is a great place to retire for those people that are thinking of that in the future. It's still relatively cheap, depending on where you want to stay. And as far as the government's concerned, despite them, you could call them totalitarian or draconian. So on a day-to-day basis, I don't really think that affects our lifestyle, particularly in a place like Phuket. Even when the coup happened back in May 2014, We wouldn't have even known about it down here in Phuket. And even up in Bangkok, it's not as if there was tanks rolling down the streets and guards walking around with guns. So, I think you could criticise the government in many ways, but on a day-to-day basis, as far as living here as a foreigner, if you're prepared to jump through a few hoops, it's a pretty good lifestyle.
Right.
That is not me saying that you should. You need to do your homework, and there's plenty of other locations around the world that you could. But if there are things that you like in Thailand, if you've been here and you like it, do your homework and see if it suits you. Okay, next one.
All right, comment here from Alan Simon, and this summarizes about
Hi, Alan.
20 other comments that we had on yesterday's episode. Jay, please stop saying it's 2 hours from Bangkok to Hue Hin. No way. And a lot of people saying that it takes about 3 hours, 2 hours, 55 minutes if you search on Google. It takes about 3 hours, and then a lot of people complaining about, Thai drivers, they drive too fast, blah, 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 blah. So just to get this right, okay, it takes approximately 3 hours. I stand corrected. And Tim did correct me yesterday, so...
Yeah, if
I
you're
hope
on
you
a
feel better
high-speed
now.
train or you take a jet, I mean, maybe you'll get there in 2 hours. But, Bangkok to Hue Hin in 2 hours was optimistic.
But to be honest, a lot of them are right. A lot of the people break the speed limits, and especially on those roads, a lot of people do drive too fast. So,
There is a very good highway, though, freeway, basically all the way from Bangkok to Hue Hin. So it's an easy drive. As far as the speed limit's concerned,
It depends on how you like to travel as well. I took more than 3 hours because me and my friends, we stopped by halfway, grabbed some lunch, It's all about the road trip.
All right, Stephen J.L. Austin wrote to us, and this alludes to a story where there was a photo of an alleged bashing up of a person in a coffee shop. And in the story, it said the coffee shop has not been named.
Okay.
And he said, well, that's funny. Coffee shop not identified, yet the CCTV clearly shows Cafe Amazon, Taste of Nature. So, yes, the authorities didn't name the coffee shop, but it was clearly visible in that particular photo.
They forgot the blurred effect. Right, I have my last comment here from Payak Peter, who says, no point commenting. My comments are ignored lately because they conflict with the Thaiger's propaganda. Well, Payak, you had an opportunity to ask us a good question. However, I don't see a question here.
And I'm not sure what the propaganda is. Maybe you can fill in the gaps for us, Payak Peter, and we'll be happy to read that out in coming programs. J. Wright Esquire asks a question and says, has it been confirmed as yet, now that domestic flights are restarting, whether international arrivals into the Phuket Sandbox can be made via connecting flights through Bangkok? As far as I know, no. There's currently no provision for that. If you want to come to the Phuket Sandbox, then you need to arrive in Phuket. If you want to arrive in Samui Plus, you do arrive in Bangkok, and then you are sort of kept in one of those bubbles and transferred to a Bangkok Airways flight to Samui. But to the Phuket Sandbox, you'll need to arrive in Phuket, as far as we know, as of today. Victor Watson says, in my opinion, we'll all be locked down again by the end of the month. I'm not sure if that's the way we're heading, Victor. I know what you're saying, but I certainly hope you're wrong. And UKD says, how the feck, F-E-C-K, can you get information from a bloke with 6 carrier bags over his head, FFS? I'm thinking UKD is from Australia, using the word bloke, which is a male person.
Or English.
And really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that the word was used outside Australia. And alluding to the policeman's conduct at the police station in Nakhon Sawan, when there was up to 6 bags put over the alleged drug dealer's head, the excuse given by the former policeman was saying that he was trying to elicit information from him about drugs and things, but it is pretty hard to speak when you've got 6 plastic bags over your head.
Yes.
Well noted. Thank you very much, UKD, and thank you very much to everybody for sending your comments to Thaiger Bites. We'll have another episode tomorrow. But for now, from Jay and me and Jason, thanks for watching.